Madam President, everyone's in from the waiting room.
All right. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Owen J. Roberts School Board of Directors regular business meeting being held on May 17th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join us in a moment of silence as we reflect on those serving in the United States Armed Forces, both past and present, the elected leaders for the state of Pennsylvania, and elected leaders of our nation. We have much to be thankful for in our community. Please be seated. Item 3, executive session announcement. The Board of School Directors met on the following dates in executive session to discuss items in one or more of the following areas: personnel, security, or legal matters, May 3rd, 2021, May 17th, 2021. Item 4, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Lloyd.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I ask Mr. Sanfran to unmute Dante DiNardo for his last report this year. And if you would allow him to turn on his video. And then, Mr. Sanfran, if you'll look for Sarah after Dante, because we'll be introducing Sarah. There he is.
All right. So East Coventry Elementary students in grades 4 and 5 competed in the Chester County Reading Olympics on May 13th. Students were meeting virtually all year long by reading and discussing books in preparation for the competition. East Vincent students and families celebrated over 80 East Vincent staff during Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you to our community for the kind notes, tasty treats, and thoughtful tokens of appreciation. We are grateful for your continued support. East Vincent Elementary School Student Council created Operation Paul Pride to honor the hard work the custodians have been doing to keep our schools clean, safe, and beautiful. French Creek would like to recognize our Odyssey of the Mind team for placing first at states. The team is presently participating in Worlds, and we are eagerly waiting for the competition results. French Creek students in life skills and autistic support proudly participated in Special Olympics on Friday, May 14th. Students in grades 3 through 6 have now successfully completed PSSA testing, and French Creek will welcome back our 12th graders for the senior drive-through on June 9th. 10 5th and 6th grade North Coventry students were nominated to attend the National Youth Leadership Forum STEM Exploration Program to be held at Villanova University. Opportunities such as building a robot, training as a doctor, and investigating a crime are on the agenda. In order to be nominated, the students must have high academic achievement, leadership potential, career aspirations, and mentor recommendations. Congratulations to Jimmy Faust, Leo Martin, Alexandria Sharp, Liam Pinkstone, Emmanuel Banks, Dominic Frosty, Bella Bruton, Cody Callender, Holden Kraft, and Delaney Grosser. The Envirothon is an environmental education program for students in grades 4, 5, and 6, and it helps students understand the natural environment and their role in it. The 2021 North Coventry Envirothon participants: Isabella Biascro, Pacey Neri, Clayton Plachik, Carly Taylor, Claire Young, Kyle Young, and Corral Noah did a wonderful job this year. West Vincent Student Council hosted a Custodian Appreciation Day. The faculty lunchroom was decorated with appreciation signs. Our students wrote letters of appreciation, and a meal was provided for 5 custodians. Thanks to the West Vincent PTA, students will enjoy a live assembly during Dialed Action Sports, featuring Dialed Action Sports, who will perform a BMX bike stunt show promoting promoting important themes and messages such as anti-bullying, making good choices, and bike safety. The final All-Pro Dad Breakfast of the year was held virtually and in person on Wednesday, May 12th at West Vincent, and it went wonderfully. The middle school chapter of the National Junior Honor Society will hold their induction ceremony virtually on Thursday, May 20th. Inductees just concluded a food drive for the Coventry Food Pantry last week. Tri-M Music Honor Society has been raising funds for the National Alzheimer's Association. On Thursday, May 13th, the members of our middle school youth and philanthropy club presented several local nonprofits with monetary gifts that they applied to receive. In total, the club was able to grant close to $7,000 to 5 separate nonprofits in the area. Middle school Leo Club members will be helping at the Ian's Boots Warehouse on May 18th and at an upcoming event at the Old House at Arboretum. The 6th grade meet and greets will be held on June 1st and 2nd. Details will be sent out this week along with dates for summer open house opportunities. The high school mock trial team presented a virtual National Law Day presentation to all 3rd grade Wildcats in the district in early May on the theme of Rule of Law. Seniors Abel Osmanis and Kirsten Longworth led 2 teams of members, and students even got to help rewrite a law for a fictional school about animals in the library. We hope it's the first of many for mock trial. The Owen J. Roberts High School Chess Club held their first chess tournament May 6th. The winners were Noah Ackerman, Brendan Esterly, Max Tamburo, and Joshua Yang. The Chester County Special Olympics was canceled this year, but ONJ held their own Special Olympics field day Friday, May 14th at the Wildcat Stadium. 65 Wildcats in grades K through 12 participated in a fun-filled morning of fitness-based activities. It was a great day for all. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dante. Dante, did you receive a gift of appreciation from the school board?
Yes, I did, and I have not opened it yet.
All right, well, they're waiting for you to open it.
All right. Oh, thank you.
Can you show them what they got you?
Great cat. Thank you.
Well, thank you for attending our virtual meetings this year. You're the first student government president to attend virtually. So thank you very much, and we wish you all the best in college.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good luck, Dante.
Good luck.
It was interesting.
Good luck.
It was very interesting being in person, but I think I did a good job, and I think we all did a good job. So thank you.
Thank you. Is Sarah Zhang on tonight? Sarah, if you're on, can you raise your hand? Use the feature to raise hand, and Mr. Sanfran will unmute you and turn on your video. So Sarah Zhang is next year's Student Government Executive Council President, and she will begin reporting in September. All right, doesn't look like she was able to attend tonight. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have Mrs. Burke. And Mrs. Burke is going to be recognizing our Special Olympic athletes. Mrs. Burke, what a wonderful day for our first O&J Special Olympics in Wildcat Stadium.
Oh, it was a wonderful day. And we had beautiful weather too, which made it even better. Joe Milnes is actually going to be assisting me this evening in recognizing the secondary students that participated on Friday.
All right, Mr. Sanfran will unmute Mr. Milnes and put his video camera on. Mrs. Burke, if you can speak up just a little bit, you're a little harder to hear tonight. Welcome, Mr. Milnes.
Good evening.
All right. And I believe the individuals that I'm going to read are joining us this evening. I see some names, but I haven't been able to locate everyone.
Okay, well, boys and girls, as you hear your name, raise your hand or have your parent use the raised hand feature on Zoom, and Mr. Sanfran will turn on your video. All right, go ahead, Mrs. Burke.
All right. From French Creek, we had Carson Beeler, Lily Shahosky, Brooklyn Rogers, and Kane Sweeney. And I believe from North Coventry, I believe we have Liam Sabo joining us this evening.
If everybody they can unmute their own cameras. I can't control their cameras. I can only control their microphones. So when your name is called, just turn your camera on.
Thank you, Mr. San Francisco.
There we go.
Here they come. Great. From West Vincent.
There's Liam. Hi, Liam, from North Coventry.
From West Vincent, we had Aiden Lowe and Zachary Rolston.
Hey, Aiden and Zachary. Thank you for joining us.
And then Mr. Milnes, the middle school.
And from the middle school, we have Shane Richards. I thought I saw that camera somewhere.
Give us a wave, Shane.
There he is. And from the high school, we have both Kylie Bush and Madison Marzella both joining us. And I know I saw both of those cameras.
There
And
they
for all-
are. Hey,
There they are. Thank you, everyone, for participating. It was a wonderful day. And for all of the folks who have a copy of it at the agenda, you can see the names of all of the athletes who participated. Not everyone could make it to the meeting tonight. So thank you very much for Dr. Lloyd for your support and the board for your support in opening our stadium to do something so unique, and for everyone that took a moment to stop out there and see it. It was a wonderful event. The weather was perfect. Everybody was smiling. It was a really nice day. Maybe it's something we can do more often in the future.
Thank you, and thank you to our teachers and our paraprofessionals for helping to make the day a success. Well done, everybody. Where there's a will, there's a way, and you figured out a way for our students to do this. All right, so if all of you turn off your cameras now, Mr. Richardson is up next. Do we have Mr. Richardson? There's Mr. Richardson.
All right, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, and so, Mr. Richardson, you're going to be recognizing DECA?
Yes, a few things here tonight.
Okay, so if you identify what you're going to recognize, then we'll just have those students turn their cameras on since they're controlling their own cameras tonight.
All right. So congratulations to the following DECA members from the high school who received an award at the DECA Virtual State Competition this year. There's two types of events. In the role play event, Charles Cullen, Thomas Damiani, Blake Brennan, Mary Kate Duffy, Victoria Blankert, and the team of Avery Noon and Kate Bacallo. And I think Victoria Blankert, Avery Noon, and Kate Bacallo are here somewhere. Maybe.
Now they're starting to pop up.
All right. Congratulations.
All right, congratulations. Thank you for joining us tonight.
In
Great
the
accomplishment.
in the written events for DECA, also taking away awards at states were Taylor Severin, the team of Josh Uyang and Julia Robinson, Lydia Cronengold, Andrew LaGreca and Nick Wood, Ava Sellers, Dylan Donaghy and Stephen Mullen, and Syria Jamadula. And I think we had maybe Josh and Julia here tonight.
Oh, there they are.
Up and there's Syria.
Congratulations, Josh. And
Congratulations.
Julie, thanks for joining us tonight. Oh, somebody else just popped on. Who is that, Mr. Richardson?
I don't know. I saw
Popped
Julia, I
on
saw
and popped
Soria.
off. All right.
All right, so congratulations, you guys. I don't know if you're heading off to nationals, if they're having nationals this year, but that usually follows states. If so, good luck. Next up is our high school girls lacrosse team. We're congratulating them tonight for winning, I think, the 6th in a row PAC championship, if I'm not mistaken. They are, I think, out there in the auxiliary gym. I see a whole
Yeah, do you
bunch of
see
folks
them?
sitting in the gym there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So members of that team include Naomi Bresky, Brooke Kano, Maddie Capaldo, Ava Christopheru, Ava Clemson, Marley Danielson, Quinn Diefabaugh, Blakely Doyle, Lauren Fagan, Carson Gallagher, Mackenzie Haggerty, Kaylin Harrington, Emily Himmelreich, Emery Horn, Amelia Yeager, Morgan Karras, Maggie Kilgannon, Gabby Corey, Grace Kratz, Caitlin Kresge, Peyton Lyon, Sierra Milano, Lexi Muir, Kaylee Mullen, Taylor Muscella, Allie Rogers, Bella Rohrbaugh, Sophie Samuelson, Rachel Spey, Larissa Shell, Carly Sharp, Grayson Smith, Corrigan Sweeney, Hannah Taguchi, Alexa Vogelman, Colby Wasson, and Avery Wetzel. And in addition, the managers, Izzy Warnson, Maddie Peckheiser, and Mia Hoops. And we can't forget the coaches, Dave Schlesinger and Joe Youngblood, as well as assistant coaches, Melina Woon Avery and Kelly Kratz. So you guys, congratulations, and hope you go deep into the playoffs.
Woo!
And
You have made
guys
us
can,
Wildcat proud this season. You are a pleasure to watch on Twitter and follow on Twitter. We are so proud of you. Good luck.
and I have in a minute, once I finish up here, I will be bringing down to you your certificates. So stay put, okay? Bring those down to the gym in a minute. But next, we would like to congratulate the following students who have chosen to serve in the military upon graduation. And I think we have most of them here. So please turn on your cameras if you are here. Patrick James Gowker II is joining the Army. Patrick, are you here? Waving. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Matthew Scott Gogan joining the Air Force. That's Matthew Scott Gogan joining the Air Force. I think we also have Donald Kircher Jr. here. He's joining the Navy. He's here somewhere. Joanna Maria Nguyen Maldonado. She is joining the National Guard. If you're here, Joanna. Carver Layton joining the Air Force. And Jacob Robinson joining the National Guard. Thank you all for your willingness to serve.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson. We need a photo of that crew joining the military. I'll send
We
Mrs.
do.
Recton over.
See if we can get them together.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. I know
You're
you're down
welcome.
off to the auxiliary gym. Next up, we have Assistant Principal Caroline Slade with our valedictorian and salutatorians. Hi, Mrs. Slade.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, good evening. So on behalf of the school board, I would like to recognize our valedictorian and salutatorians of the class of 2021. Each of these three students will read a statement about a teacher that had a significant impact on their life and education, and that teacher in turn will make a statement about their student. So our first salutatorian is Shreya Janadula. Shreya will be attending the University of Pennsylvania as a student in the Jerome Fisher Management and Technology program, which is an integrated dual degree program between Wharton and the School of Engineering with majors in economics and computer science. Shreya?
Hello. So I, as Mrs. Slade mentioned, will be honoring Mr. Lieberson today, who's had an immense impact on my academic career. So when I went to Mr. Lieberson's classroom for the first time in 9th grade to ask him to advise my club, Launch ENT, I must admit that I was a little nervous, but that's not because I heard anything bad about him per se. In fact, every single student of his whom I talked to before approaching Mr. Lieberson spoke about him with a great deal of respect. All of us have a certain fondness in our voices when we describe his reverence for teaching and academics, his soft-hearted and empathetic nature towards students, and of course, the immense sea of knowledge he holds on a variety of subjects. But beyond that, he's a funny teacher. Mr. Lieberson has a gift for showing students that academics aren't defined by GPAs or test scores. They're truly defined by pure intellectual curiosity and uninhibited excitement. My dear friend and a student of Mr. Lieberson, Layla Corsino, said that it was her privilege to work alongside him for the past 4 years. Another student and close friend of mine, Kelly McDevitt, sees Mr. Lieberson as the hallmark of our school. Every OJR student reminisces about the challenges they experience in his classes with a heartfelt sentimentality. And to you specifically, Mr. Lieberson, thank you. Thank you for making me a better learner, a better collaborator, and a better leader. My successes are the result of your substantial support throughout high school. I promise you that I will never forget the influence you've had on me, and I'm 1000% sure that all of your students would say the same. The Owen J. Roberts community will dearly miss you next year, but we will always care about you and remember you for the deep impact you've had on us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharia. It's funny, in my prepared remarks, I was bringing up the same meeting that we had. It was 4 years ago, spring of 2018. I remember a little differently though. It was after school. I was sitting in my desk, and the 9th grade student came in to ask me if they would be allowed to take AP Economics as a 10th grader. And in more than 20 years that I was teaching AP Econ over 3 school districts, I never had a 10th grader take this course. So I was extremely hesitant and worried if the student would succeed. But the student was able to quell my fears and convince me to allow her to enroll in the course. Excuse me. The following year, Sharia, the only sophomore in the class, and the only sophomore for me that has ever taken what some students say AP Economics is one of the most challenging classes that we offer at the high school, not only succeeded, but excelled. I overcame my hesitancy, and by far, having her join the class is one of the best decisions I ever made. Excuse me. That was the first time I met Sharia, and since then, her passion for learning and sharing enthusiasm has not only impressed me, but I think an inspiration for my professional colleagues, her student peers, and dare I say, excuse me, guys, the entire OGR community. Now, I would have normally worn a shirt and tie like I normally do to class when I'm in school, but in honor of her, I decided to wear my DECA shirt. You guys can see it. It's one of the organizations that she has inspired towards success. Her contribution to our high school community over the past 4 years can be measured from not only in terms of professional academic achievement, perhaps more importantly, I'm sorry about this, guys, more importantly, in her impact through all our extracurricular activities, such as DECA, and as she mentioned, Launch X. And I think this will be felt long after her departure. I'm sure she'll be having a very inspiring and successful career. Her presence and inspiration as an educator for me, I want to thank you, Sharia. Working with you has indeed been a marvelous way for me to personally cap off my career. Thank you so much, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, so our second salutatorian is Rachel Towler. Rachel will be attending the University of Pittsburgh and majoring in engineering. Rachel.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
So I will be honoring Mrs. Ritchie. Mrs. Ritchie was my ATP teacher in the latter years of elementary school and throughout middle school. She had and continues to have a profound impact on the way that I approach school and learning, and I will forever be grateful to her. Her small room at the end of the hallway is home to the moments that fostered my love of growing and learning. In reading groups, we were encouraged to showcase our connections to the literature in creative ways that allowed us to expand upon the works. In math, we were challenged to work through difficult problems, which taught me how to persevere through frustration. Mrs. Ritchie's enthusiasm and passion for learning is infectious. It was difficult to be critical of having to work hard with such a positive presence in the classroom. Whenever a sliver of doubt crossed my mind at the quality of my work, she was there to take pride in me and tell me how impressed she was. She promoted confidence and gave me a space to have a community of people that I could grow and have fun with. So what is there left to say but thank you? Thank you for everything you instilled in me at such a young age, and thank you for giving me the space and tools to grow into the person that I am today.
Hi, Mrs. Ritchie.
Hello, how are you?
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. To Rachel and the Towler family, I just want to tell you how honored I am to be able to share my sentiments with you, as well as some other educators' thoughts as well regarding our sweetheart. I have vivid memories of Rachel in class in elementary school at North Coventry and in the middle school. Always humble, always sharing ideas with her classmates, always considerate and polite. I reached out to some of your current teachers to see if you had grown in maturity and wisdom just exactly the way I expected you to, and I was right. Let me share a few of their words from the OJRHS staff. In the time I've worked with Rachel, I've been consistently impressed by her eloquence, high level of insight, and incredible work ethic. In a year where there have been many challenges and inconsistencies, Rachel has never skipped a beat in turning in work that was only intensely thoughtful, but also thought-provoking. Whether working as a leader in the OJR National English Honor Society or as a scholar in class, she carries herself with integrity that merits respect from her peers and teachers. I have no doubt that she will continue to find tremendous success in her future endeavors. Also, that was from Dr. Amber Benson-Chubb and from Mr. Mengel. Rachel has had a wonderful and positive impact on the band over the past 4 years. She is selected to be flute section leader of marching band during her senior year. In this capacity, she demonstrated her leadership skills by helping to teach marching drills and music to the members of her section. Rachel quickly gained the admiration and respect of every member of the band and always treated her position with professionalism and maturity. She will be dearly missed by everyone in the band next year. Rachel, from me to you, whether it's studying engineering at the University of Pittsburgh or something else, given your myriad of interests and talents, one thing is for sure, you are as admired and respected now as you were years ago and as you will be 60 years from now. Given all the attributes you encompass, your humility continues to shine through. That combination of qualities is rare to find at all, yet alone in a high school senior. You are one in a million. I couldn't possibly love you more or be more proud of you.
Mrs. Ritchie, we remember Rachel when she was just a little girl.
I know, I can't believe it.
Rachel, it gives me goosebumps to see you today. Congratulations. Thank you, Mrs. Ritchie.
You're welcome.
Okay, and our valedictorian of the class of 2021 is Ava Lasmanis. Ava will be attending the Johns Hopkins University and majoring in philosophy and political science and international relations. Ava?
There we go. Can you hear me? All right, cool. So I will be honoring Mr. Morris tonight.
Ava, could you speak up just a little bit? You're
yeah.
very faint to us.
Okay.
Start again, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be honoring Mr. Morris tonight. So when I was asked to pick a teacher to honor this evening, the choice was clear. While I've had many wonderful teachers throughout my years at ONJ, one has stood out as the biggest mentor, advocate, and friend to me and my family, and that is my gifted teacher, Mr. Morris. Whether it was finding opportunities for me to participate in internships with a local judge, or just having a truly terrible pun at the ready to make me laugh on a hard day. The help that he has provided to me has been invaluable. Without Mr. Morris, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to help start our school's first ever mock trial team, participate in summer leadership conferences like NSLC, or pursue my love of constitutional law with the depth and fervor the subject requires. I will always remember my time in Gifted STEM as some of the best of my high school career, and I'm truly grateful for the friendships and experience that I've made as a result of this class. In a world of rigid AP curricula and standardized tests, Gifted STEM was a chance for me to flex my creativity and individuality in a setting where those qualities are valued above all else. Mr. Morris's class was an oasis where I got to spend 2 to 3 classes a week in a group of fellow students who were as passionate, driven, and unique as myself. I could go on forever, but in conclusion, I'll just say this. Thank you, Mr. Morris. I don't know where I would be without you.
Mr. Morris?
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, board, and especially Ava. Thank you very much. My heart is actually pounding right now because that was some of the nicest things that have ever been said about me. So thank you very much. I hope I can reciprocate. The year is incredibly hard and has offered far too much profound pain, but there are incredible heroes among us during this time, and they are our students. Their resilience gives me great hope for our collective future, and they must be celebrated, and Ava is one of these students. I've served many roles with Ava: in-class educator, internship coordinator, and faculty advisor of our mock trial team. Yes, Ava's work ethic, personal drive, ability to learn, and level of achievement are in the top 1% of those I've taught in my 18 years as an educator. Yes, we will celebrate all the medals under her lapel and the tassels that will adorn her graduation. But with all of these incredible things, none of this tells you who she is. But please allow me to try. What defines each of us are those we help and leave better off. I've personally witnessed Ava develop the best and most powerful leadership style, the kind that develops leaders around her. While she works to increase her own levels of competence, she actively works with others to teach and motivate those around her to achieve their own personal success. This is the tide that lifts all ships and has created success for her class and team. She is one of only 3 students I've ever encountered who does this, and I love that about Ava. What defines Ava is also a fierce sense of loyalty, commitment, and mind open to new ideas and challenges. She's reverent and has a very strong and deep devotion and sense of family. She leads her life with integrity and meets all challenges with a combination of decisive thought, options, and tireless effort. She has a wonderful sense of humor, a quick wit, and is quick to laugh. She even chuckles at my dumb dad jokes like, why don't ants get sick? They have little antibodies. And have you heard about the restaurant named Karma? You don't get a menu, you just get what you deserve. Right now, she is surely getting what she deserves for letting me speak, and I apologize to the audience for what I'm sure she now feels is a poor choice. I often tell her that this is what I call the comedic gold and the endearing awkwardness that produced her, and that why she's done so well, but I digress. Most students never say they want to be on the bench because they never want to sit out a game. Ava is the only student that's ever told me she wants to sit on a bench because that's her end game. From what I've seen and the trajectory I've witnessed, she is on the way to having the honorable precede her name. In closing, Ava's hard work over the past 4 years has come to embody the district's mission regarding success today and greatness tomorrow. OJR, keep your eye on this one because as with me, she will make you proud. Ava, good luck at Johns Hopkins, and it's been my pleasure to be your teacher and my honor to speak tonight. Thank you all.
Ava, congratulations. We couldn't be more proud of you. And Mr. Morris, thank you for those kind words about Ava. All right, next up, we have Dr. Marchini. Thank you, Mrs. Slade. Dr. Marchini is going to recognize our district nursing staff, who we could not have gotten through this year without you. Thank you, Dr. Marchini. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. It's my honor tonight to recognize our school nurses. I'd like to read through the names because we have a team of 12 here. I'd like to recognize, I think we have 3 that are here tonight. Sharon Kohler, is she, I believe she is present on the meeting. We have Amy DePaul, Deb Weber, who I think is also present, Annette Lemma, Becky Kilfoy, who I see is on our meeting, Jane Sullivan, Lisa Bailey, and Cindy Kilgannon. We also have our substitute nurses who have been instrumental, and that's Pat Schwenk, Reagan Jones, Mary Curtis, and our medical secretary, Dora Gallagher. I'd like to just make a brief statement about what they've done this year. It's been actually remarkable, and I heard a comment made that there's heroes this year, and these are definitely heroes in my eyes. The O&J Roberts nurses have always played a paramount role in our schools to promote and maintain health and wellness for our students. But more than often, you may not realize, but our staff families. As a department collectively, they've always worked on a number of different initiatives across the district to have a consistent and positive impact on this learning community. In the midst of a global pandemic, I've watched this team of 12 professionals just that I just introduced take on so many different tasks, all incredibly essential to the safety of our students. That most of these tasks are never thought possible or manageable. Among these include contact tracing, quarantine and notification, COVID testing for prom goers, staff returning to work, and students to go back to school, safety plan review, CDC and Chester County Health Department liaisons, COVID training, building level experts, our vaccination clinic that we had, and the list continues. This group did all of these things and more during the school day and on a regular basis, evenings and weekends. It is only through this group as our medical experts and advisors that the other administrators and staff could make decisions to keep students, staff, and families safe while still maintaining all possible educational opportunities in each school. Most impressive part of this group is their positive attitudes as a team, compassion for everyone who was impacted by COVID that they encountered. And most importantly, their dedication to learning. I was proud to work with them and so proud of their efforts and accomplishments. So thank you to all the nurses and this team of 12.
Ladies, we are so grateful for you. I can't imagine going through this pandemic without all of you. I'm in awe of you. There wasn't anything that didn't come your way that you didn't handle with professionalism and with grace. I've relied on you throughout this entire year for your expertise, and you were always happy to answer my questions and to provide us with a clear direction forward. I appreciate all that you've done to get our students back into school and to be an advocate for their health and safety. Thank you so very much. All right, I'm up next. Thank you, Dr. Marchini. And so next up, the board would like to recognize Elizabeth Hoffecker. So Elizabeth, if you would turn on your camera. I saw her pop up there. There she is. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you. It looks like you're out on the fields right now at whatever athletic event is still going on, probably boys baseball at this point.
And softball.
Oh, and softball. All right. Well, it's a good thing you have a cart.
Yep.
So we heard Dr. Marchini use the word hero, and it's a word that I think is overused in our society today. But Elizabeth, you truly are a hero, because it was only a month ago where you saved an athlete's life on our track. During a track meet, you were in the right place at the right time when that young lady collapsed. And it is to your credit that that child is alive today. And the school board would like to recognize you at this time for your heroic efforts on behalf of that student and her family. Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
I know that you thought you were just doing your job when we talked that night, but that your training, I am so grateful your training prepared you for that moment and that you were there. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for all that you do for our athletes each and every day, but particularly for this particular athlete. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. There's so much greatness going on. And so let's continue on with congratulating the 2021 OJR Keystone Innovators. The Keystone Technology Innovator is a classroom teacher who fully utilizes the many benefits technology offers to improve instructional practices across his or her content areas. In doing so, the teacher does not focus on the technology itself, rather focuses on student learning and uses technology as a tool to support this end. The Keystone Technology Innovators is a statewide program that honors the following teachers: Kelly Loomis, East Coventry Elementary; Michelle Riggs, East Vincent Elementary; Caitlin Moriarty, North Coventry Elementary; Elizabeth O'Mara, West Vincent Elementary; and Shane Knifer, Owen J. Roberts Middle School. Congratulations, ladies. We're so glad you could join us, and thank you for all that you're doing to make technology innovative in your classroom. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Our next set of recognitions are for volunteers. And so this next group of volunteers are by far some of the most active and informed parents in our school districts, and they are the PTA, PTO, and PTSA presidents. So ladies, as you hear your name, please turn on your videos. From East Coventry Elementary School, Elizabeth Annie Reno. From East Vincent, Jim Daly. French Creek, Jennifer Bunting. North Coventry, Amy Lignelli. West Vincent, Cindy Hutchinson. Owen J. Roberts Middle School, Kim Arp. Owen J. Roberts High School, Lisa Deal. Thank you for your dedication and commitment to the students of the Owen J. Roberts School District. We know you put in many long and thankless hours, but we wanted to just take a moment to appreciate all that you have done for our students and for our teachers. Thank you so very much. All right. Moving on to the rest of my report. On tonight's agenda, the board will be approving the updated health and safety plan that incorporated updated guidance from Chester County Health Department with regards to indoor and outdoor gathering limits, quarantine guidelines for vaccinated individuals, and the ability for students and adults to remove their mask during high exertion activities outdoors. Because most K-12 students in the state of Pennsylvania are not vaccinated and only a few days remain in the 2021 school year. Per PDE, the PA Department of Health and the Chester County Department of Health all recommend that school entities continue to follow their current mitigation strategies. Remaining consistent in approach will help to ensure the safety and well-being of school communities while minimizing disruptions that may result from significant revisions to existing plans and systems. Another highlight on tonight's voting meeting is the administration's recommendation to extend and enhance the OJR Cyber Academy through the 2023 school year, utilizing ESSER grants funds. Parents will receive additional information regarding upcoming virtual open houses, registration, and course selection for high school students. Ms. Christine Seeley will serve as the Cyber Academy principal and will be developing a marketing plan to bring back OJR students who have left our schools to attend cyber charter schools. As stated in previous meetings, our school district anticipates spending $3.9 million for students to attend cyber charter schools this past year. Miss Seeley has a big task ahead of her. Speaking of cyber charter schools, Ms. Prophet and I have been invited late today to meet with Governor Tom Wolf on Wednesday to discuss the proposed legislation to reform the funding of charter schools. All of our schools are moving forward with traditional end-of-year activities. Late this afternoon, Mr. Richardson emailed parents the details for graduation and end-of-year activities for seniors. So parents, please check your emails. We are thankful that we are getting closer, slowly by slowly, to returning to normal by being able to hold our end-of-year activities. This concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lloyd. As you said, that was a lot of greatness. And I just want to comment on Special Olympics. I was able to attend, and it was a phenomenal event. I really commend everyone, and I think if we can do that again next year, that was just great.
All right, I'm sure those curriculum supervisors are on it right now.
All right, we're going to move on to item 5, which is public comment. Information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Speakers are to indicate your name, township of residence, and the item on the agenda to which your comments are addressed. Speakers will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Please understand that this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. And then just a reminder, email address is listed there if you would like to receive a written response. As a guideline for anyone who would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand function. And when it is your turn to speak, please state your name and township of residence.
Madam President, the first person is Heather McCreary.
Sorry, I couldn't get
McCreary, you are unmuted.
Okay, I wanted to just say a shout out to the superintendent's report and congratulations to everybody that was recognized, but to Ava Lasmanis and Mr. Morris, I want to say a special thank you because that activity mock trial will always be near and dear to my heart. It just shows what the power of students and a willing teacher can do in this district to start something that can take hold. And this was our 3rd year doing that activity. And I want to especially commendation to all of the elementary principals that allowed our 11 students to come into every 3rd grade classroom to do the virtual law day. So while some of us don't like virtual stuff all that much with the Zoom, that was an amazing opportunity for those 11 students on that mock trial team. So I just want to say thank you and congratulations, Ava and Mr. Morris, for being a part of that, and to everybody else. Thank you.
Madam President, next person is Jessica Marzella. Jessica, you are unmuted.
I can't start my video.
That's okay. You don't need to turn on your video for public comment. Do you have a public comment about the agenda items that are coming up, Mrs. Marzella?
I do actually. I have Madison with me. I am Jessica Marzella, North Coventry Township. Madison is a 11th grader of Owen J. Roberts High School, and she also participated in the Special Olympics. I would like to recognize all of her teammates that were with her that day. I believe that all of them had a great time and they worked together and they just had loads of fun just being with each other and just enjoying each other's company. So I would like to recognize all of the high school students that were there along with Madison that participated in the Owen J. Roberts Special Olympics.
Thank you, Mrs. Marzella.
Madam President, that's the end of public comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 6 is board committee reports. Item 6.1, working session. A working session was held on May 3rd, 2021 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. The following committees met at that time: Buildings and Grounds, Curriculum and Instruction, Finance. The board was provided a draft copy of the Finance Committee meeting minutes. Item 6.2, Finance, Buildings, and Grounds Committee. Mrs. Booth.
Thank you, Madam President. A standalone Finance Committee meeting was held March 29th, 2021. Agenda items at the time: bond refunding, preliminary budget and American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ESSERS 3, funding update. Proposed pupil services and general fund budgets, transportation budget, facilities budget, business services budget, and proposed 5-year capital budget and professional services and/or maintenance agreements. Final result of the 2016 bond refunding following the parameters resolution board passed April 19th, 2021. That negotiated pricing result was wildly successful. It resulted in a savings of $1,299,614, or 14.61%, which relates to $80,000 annually saved for the district through the year 2035. I want to thank everybody who worked on that budget refund or bond refunding at this time. Agenda items on the May 3rd, 2021 board working session: the Giza project update presentation by Provident Consulting, Finance Committee's recommendation to move forward with the investment grade audit, otherwise known as the IGA, approval of the March 3rd, 2021 Finance Committee minutes, and a proposed final budget presentation by Jackie Crumrine. Tonight's Finance, Buildings, and Grounds voting action items are: I would just like to take a moment to say that May and June are very busy months for Finance Committee members and administrative business office personnel. I wish to thank all involved in those processes and am grateful we were able to hold the upcoming tax increase to 1.48%. Now to the agenda items. Agenda item number 7, recommended routine matters. Consent items: 7.2, acknowledge receipt of student activities. 7.4, acknowledge receipt of tuition report. 7.5, acknowledge receipt of one-time waiver of board policy, capital budget policies. I would like to take a note. We have, upon advice of council, we have revised the wording of item number 7.6. It now reads approval of the proposed 2021-22 governmental and proprietary budget. 7.7, acknowledge receipt of proposed tax resolution for 2021-22 fiscal year. And 7.10, donations, contributions, and gifts. Agenda item number 8, again, consent matter. 8.1, acknowledge receipt of gifts and donations. Under new, under new business, 13.3, approval of the before mentioned Owen J. Roberts Cyber School Academy. Budget discussions have been items and presentations throughout the entire PA budget calendar. Item 13.4 through 13.7, approval of legal counsels for the year 2000, from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Construction matters: Cagle, Kellen, Litz, and Lord LLP. General counsel: Fox Rothschild. Special education: Sweet Stevens, Katz, and Williams. And real estate assessment: Yergi, Daler, Alabach, Sheffy, and Picardi. Item 13.8, approval for membership in Cooperative Purchasing Program, Government Procurement Alliance. Items 13.9 through 13.13, annual filings for the year 2021-2022. Approval of signatures, board officers, board treasurers, and safe deposit box per Facsimile Signature Act as presented. Item 13.14, banks as depositories, General Fund Operating Fulton Bank, Pennsylvania School District Asset Fund, Payroll Fulton Bank, Capital Reserve Fund Fulton Bank, Pennsylvania School District Asset Fund, Debt Service Fund Fulton Bank, and Food Service. Item 13.5, approval of resolution authorizing notice of proposed fund budget, display, and advertising. Approval of the postings. Item 13.16, approval of final budget notice. Action votes will occur during the June board meeting, June 21st, 2021. Item 13.17, authorization for employees to act signing vouchers and checks. 13.18, approval of resolution establishing tax collection compensation, procedures and rules. Item 13.25, award of bids in accordance with the CZIU purchasing agreement, propane bid and heating oil, diesel and gasoline. Item 13.26, construction order, GC 22, SMJ Contracting Incorporated, Douglasville, for site remedial work totaling $935.55. And item 13.27, approval of professional services and/or maintenance agreements, inclusion of Sweet Stevens Legal Services Consultation, Pool Council, Food Management, Chartwells, Company Renewal Contract, and the CM3 Project Development Agreement, that is the Giza Energy Savings Project. As mentioned previously, the 2021-22 budget adaptation will be voted on during the June 21st business meeting. Thank you, Mrs. President. I'm tired of talking.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Item 6.3, Chester County Intermediate Unit, Mrs. Munson.
Thank you. The Chester County Intermediate Unit Board met last Wednesday, May 19th at 7:30 p.m. And yeah, there were, sorry, it is coming up this May 19th, this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. The last one then was April, I'm sorry, I didn't write down the right dates. Anyway, it would have been the third Wednesday in April then. We had so many wonderful updates, but the one thing that I want to draw the board members' attention to is your invitation to the Chester County Technical College High School Pickering campus graduation on June 1st. It'll be here at the O.N.J. Roberts High School in the stadium, and I will be representing the CCIU board at that event to celebrate all of their graduates, and we do have members of the O.N.J. Roberts community that are also graduating from TCHS, so I'm hoping we can all be there to support them. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Munson. Item 6.4, Curriculum and Special Education Committee, Mrs. Stutzman.
Good evening. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met at the board working session on May 3rd, where we had 2 agenda items. First, as part of the elective course revision, a new marketing management textbook was presented, and the committee moved that title forward for board consideration this evening, and that's item 13.21. Also, Dr. Soder outlined the plans for the Cyber Academy, and changes include asynchronous sessions for secondary students and synchronous sessions for elementary students. Elementary students will use current instructional materials for ELA and math rather than Accelerate, and the plan has been moved forward to the full board for consideration tonight, and that's item 13.3. Families can expect communication about the Cyber Academy this week, and virtual open house sessions planned for the end of May and beginning of June. And then lastly, graduation for our new teachers as part of induction was held on May 3rd. And new teachers from all of our schools celebrated that moment with their mentors, and this marks the completion of the required program for our new teachers this year. And that is all we have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6.5, Legislative and Policy Committee, Mrs. Munson.
Thank you. The Legislative and Policy Committee last met on Tuesday, May 11th at 7:00 p.m. and the headliner was that we completed evaluating our educational equity policy. So you will see that, as well as 10 other items that we discussed on the first reading agenda at item 7.8. Also, we've started an effort to combine the 300s, 400s, and 500 sections of our policy. If you're very familiar with our policy, then you'll know that all of those refer to employees, but they refer to different types of employees within the school district. We're consolidating that for the sake of uniform language and ease of maintaining them going forward. So you'll see that in each area, we'll have some in the first reading being passed at the 300 level in item number 7.8, and then in agenda item number 7.9 will be deletion of the corresponding 400s and 500s level policies. So the deletion does not mean that those are going away, it's just that they're being consolidated with the 300 level corresponding policies. Also, for second reading, we have items 13.19, which has policies 150, 709, and 710 on it. And also, we will be taking care of item 13.20, which is changing a policy 709 to a regulation 709A, and that's item 13.20. Our next meeting of the Legislative and Policy Committee will be on Tuesday, May 15th. Wait, I got that date wrong too. Sorry, it must be June 15th at 7 p.m. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Item 6.6, Personnel Committee, Mr. Friel. Okay. Item 7, recommended routine matters consent items. So 7.1, motion to approve recommended routine matters consent items 7.2 through 7.9. The board will make a motion to approve the following routine matters, which are items 7.2 through 7.9 as action consent items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Deal, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion?
I have a question about one particular policy that I just wasn't sure of. 7.8, item number 7.8, which is policy 904, public attendance at school events. That policy came with an attachment that was talking about tobacco and use and vaping. And in the attachment, it said that those items could be used in a designated area posted by the district. And I was just kind of confused about that because I didn't think any of those items were ever allowed to be used on our school property at all. So I just didn't know what this attachment, why that item is still there, or what that means, or if I'm understanding it incorrectly.
No, that good catch is what I would say to that. So we will have to pull that policy off and review it, and then we'll add it again. We'll have to review the attachment, and then we'll add it back on next month.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so do you want me to modify my motion? Mr. Subers?
Excuse me, I would recommend that the motion be amended by way of a friendly amendment to delete the first reading of policy 904. And that would be by Mr. Deal and Ms. Booth if they accept that amendment.
I would.
Can you repeat what you want me to say again?
Sure.
You want me to just?
I would move the amended motion to accept that from that
Okay.
policy.
Can we, all right, you're moving the amended motion. And then, are you going to second, Mrs. Booth? Do we need a second for moving it or no?
Well, we want to do a friendly amendment. Ms. Booth, you're in agreement with the
I'm in
removal of
agreement.
904?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8, recommended routine matters. 8.1, acknowledge receipt of donations, contributions, and gifts. Acknowledge receipt of donations, contributions, and gifts to the Owen J. School District as presented. So for East Vincent Elementary School, East Vincent PTA donated $981.75 from the Scholastic News Renewal subscription. The high school, Greg Mancuso donated $35 Wawa gift card for the high school chess club. Walt Phillips donated $100 to the class of 2021 for the prom on May 8th. For the Vanguard Matching Gift Program, the middle school Blackbaud Giving Fund donated $16. The East Vincent Elementary Blackbaud Giving Fund gave $10. And West Vincent Elementary Blackbaud Giving Fund donated $56. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, Ms.
Second.
Deemer to be my second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, approval of routine matters. Approval of meeting minutes as presented. Approval of school board meeting minutes from the April 19th, 2021 meeting. Approval of the working session meeting minutes from the May 3rd, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Deal, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeFore, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, item 10, board discussion. I actually have 2 items for everyone. The first one. So I just wanted to discuss again the Chester County Health Department's newer quarantine guidance that we discussed at our working session meeting on May 3rd. We heard from our principals and nurses that while in the very high range of transmission, they were not comfortable with changing to this newer guidance of a shortened quarantine time period. Since that meeting, a lot has changed. Our rate of transmission for our county has dropped dramatically, and we're now in the moderate range of transmission, and this trend indicates we will continue to decline. Another factor that has proved very positive for our district is the drop in cases within our district. Last week, we only had 2 cases. A third factor to consider is that we held our first vaccine clinic last week for our 16 to 17-year-old students, and 12 to 15-year-old students were finally approved for vaccines as well. So with all of these mitigation layers in place, and with only 17 days left of school, I am proposing that we move to the new quarantine guidance from the Chester County Health Department. With our current 14-day quarantine guidelines in place, the concern is that we're gonna have students that are gonna have to quarantine and miss the rest of the school year. Anyone else?
Can you just remind us of what the updated quarantine guidance is?
Sure. And so, currently, the endorsement is to quarantine for 14 days. There is a shorter version that we can adopt. It says options will include stopping the quarantine after 10 days without testing, after 7 days after receiving a negative test result. Tests must occur on day 5 or later. And then after the quarantine, our nurses would need to continue to monitor the symptoms up until the 14 days. So it's a modified quarantine compared to what we've been doing. We've been doing the most conservative quarantine measure as recommended by the CDC because of being in the very high range of transmission.
But Chester County makes provision for either quarantine method, correct?
Yes, either one.
And if I remember Mrs. Weber sharing with us that it was that very high and high range that we kind of wanted to take the more conservative approach on, but I think Ms. Prophet is correct in that the trend, the numbers, I'm supportive of the alternate method of quarantine as well.
Are you just looking for, because we don't need to vote on this, right? This is just a matter of just looking for board consensus on this? So,
correct.
Yeah. I'm fine with the change.
I am as well, with the modified quarantine.
And I think the key to consider here is also is this will impact our ESY students as well. So if we have 14-day quarantine guidelines, it's 5 weeks of an ESY program. You're going to miss 2 weeks. That's almost half the program. So I think we're really looking out for our students here by adopting this newer guidance while within this very moderate range of transmission.
I'm in agreement as long as we stay in the moderate range and things look very good. And I'm always a Pollyanna. I hope they're going to get even better. So if everybody is comfortable with that, I would prefer to see it go in that direction with the modified terminology.
All right. As I had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, that you have the authority to be more conservative at any time that you so deem. And so since we've now moved into that moderate range, well within the moderate range, we can implement this beginning tomorrow. And so we will go with the after 10 days, if they don't go for testing, or after 7 days, they receive a negative test result, they can return to school. All right?
All right.
All right.
Thank you. We'll communicate that out to our nurses and families tomorrow.
Thank you. So the second item I just wanted to touch on, because there's been so much guidance changing, the whole year has been guidance changing, but there was new guidance that had changed from Chester County Health Department regarding masks. So we had our legal team kind of give input on this because we weren't sure, which guidance are you supposed to follow, the state's mandate or what your own local authority. And Mr. Subers, I'm correct in saying that they hold the same weight.
They have concurrent authority under their authorizing statutes, the Disease Control and Prevention Act and the State Administrative Code, and also the State Department of Health guidance or guidelines and regulations indicate that both the state and local Department of Health have concurrent jurisdiction. So the district is within its authority to follow the local guidance.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to that discussion, or we're good? That's fine. Okay.
All right, parents are very appreciative of their children not wearing masks during high exertion activities.
Yeah, I have no objections whatsoever to not wearing masks in the outdoor scenario, but if we're going to relax our quarantine guidance, then I think for indoor, we still need to mask and get distance just to preserve our students for the remainder of the year and make sure that indoors they are.
Well, the mask mandate is still in place. The governor's mask mandate is still in place, and the Chester County Health Department requires that we do so. So that will not be changing unless we hear differently from the Chester County Health Department. But I don't anticipate that from my meetings with them every week. I don't anticipate that changing for the remainder of the school year for indoors.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any further board discussion?
I have a very benign question, Mrs. Crumrine. Do any of our bus drivers take their buses home?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
They're required to be on the lot.
I thought so, but thanks. I was asked that question, and I drove by it tonight. I thought, I'm going to ask.
It was a past practice, but it's no longer.
Okay.
No longer practice.
I just have a quick question on, I just know on the agenda items tonight, like 13.5 and 13.4, the law firm appointments and the legal counsel for next year. Does it have to be done at this meeting? I know we have a lot of changes and new superintendent coming in. Should we maybe pause and discuss that and before we just go forward with these things? So.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think that these contracts, and Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've already been written, and it's just every year we have to approve them.
They're really not contracts per se.
Agreements.
They're a statement of services, and we appoint on a fiscal year. So right now, they're approved through June 30th. We always just bring them back in May.
So we could revisit in June.
We would have time if we.
Yeah, I mean, we should have something in place by June 30th, or we don't
Yeah.
have board-approved legal counsel.
We'll just
on
wing
July
it.
1.
I don't think. But yeah, June should be fine.
No, if we were to approve the legal counsel as we have them, and then the new superintendent decides or is unhappy, is this binding for the year?
Yeah, I think we should.
That's a question for Mr. Subers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Subers.
Generally, and I didn't review the other attorney's retainer agreement. Our retainer agreement basically locks our fees in for the year, for the fiscal year, our rates, whatever, and there were no proposed changes. Essentially, we do serve at your pleasure. So, I mean, at some point during that year, either the superintendent or the board determined to discontinue our services, then we would abide by that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a technical question, and I don't know if some of this, because it's legal, belongs in exec session and stuff like that, but just food for thought for the board.
Yeah, we usually issue RFPs when we're thinking about that, but with a new superintendent coming on, it's a good
Yeah.
thing to bring up.
There's a lot going, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, but would we bring that up with him? Like, what would happen between now and June that would cause us to make a different decision? Would, you know what I'm saying?
I think we should have a conversation
So-
with Will.
Okay, have a conversation about it with our new superintendent. Okay.
Yeah, I think if we're going to move forward with the full year, it would be good to have the discussion. So I think we'll do that.
Okay.
So that is item, let's see, it's 13.4 through, is it 13.7? Is that all legal?
Sounds about right.
Okay. So we'll just pull that off the agenda.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
13.4 through 13.7.
Okay. All right, any more board discussion?
I do have a question, and that's probably partially for Mr. Subers as well as the rest of the board. It concerns public meetings. So June 1st, the governor lifts these emergency provisions, or at least a large number of them. At what point do we, what's the outlook in terms of when the public comes back? Because the challenge I think we face using this room is if the public could see the setup, there's not a lot of room when we're trying to Zoom at the same time. And so we're almost kind of talking, we're going to have a discussion about, do we continue Zoom meetings, at which point, I don't know how many people you can fit in here in a Zoom meeting, or do you do away with Zoom and go back to the way we used to hold public meetings? I happen to think Zoom has been a good thing for the
Yeah.
community. We've had good participation, but I don't want to run afoul of any legal standard.
It's within your discretion.
Okay.
So John, just so you know, Dr. Lloyd and I had talked about it. We had it in the other board discussion, but we were talking about admitting in-person public comment, I guess, or public at the June meeting and trying that out, just because then everything's more lifted by then. And there is, if you can see from the screen or setup, they will be able to sit over there
Right.
and not really block the camera, because that was my other concern.
Some, right, maybe it's the
Not
same as
100,
before, I don't
you
know,
know.
So I
Well,
guess
I think the other thing was, and if you want to speak to the restriction on how many people.
Right. So currently, we're still at, starting today, 50% capacity. We're limited to 50% capacity, but in order to keep everybody physically distanced, that still does not allow us to have very many people in this room in addition to ourselves. Once that's lifted on June 1st, all the restrictions then go away. This room serves as the overflow for the cafeteria. And so when we have a board meeting, all the desks, everything has to get cleared out of this room to just set up for these tables. Once we get to the June board meeting, this room will no longer be serving as a cafeteria. And so it'll be much easier to keep it set up for board meetings. And I think we'll be able to, by then, reduce the spacing between the board. We could be probably 3 feet instead of the 6 feet that we're at, and still keep the audience at 6 feet. So my recommendation would be that we do that for the June meeting, just to get a sense of what it's like for the board to sit closer to each other. And then we're not impacting the high school's use of this room for lunch.
And then I guess one thing to add to that is for future planning, and I don't know what committee it would fit on, right? But we used the LGI because we always use the LGI. Then we went to video because we had to in the LGI, right? Because we had the ability to accommodate that. If we were thinking longer term planning where we were going to make an investment, where we could meet, we could Zoom, we could have people present. I mean, just where do we throw ideas up against the wall to say, what location would we use? What kind of investment would we have to make that happen? I'm not saying there's a deadline on that, but I think we ought to
I think it's a
restart
good
that
discussion
conversation.
for buildings and grounds as they look at the
Building and grounds,
room.
yeah.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
and kind of evaluate how they want to move
Which is not
forward.
part of finance, so it's more, right?
It's Dr.
It's a finance
Yeah.
issue as well. so I
Okay.
think
It's Dr.
a good-
John's committee, isn't it? Was it-
In addition, years ago, board
No,
meetings were
sorry.
held in the auditorium,
Yeah.
which of course expands opportunity for many people. There is, anyway, that's a consideration. Yeah, there are things we consider. We could consider using the East Coventry cafeteria because it has that glorious, huge monitor up on the walls for those who would want to zoom in. So there are things I think we could do. The other thing is, it's really a shame that we don't get to see all of those that we recognize for their achievements in person. It's just not the same. So even though Zoom has been good for the community, I think there's a lot lost in those recognition moments for many of our students and many of our staff members. I would like to see that come back.
I think the longer term solution is a more permanent solution, right? Given the environment that we will find ourselves in for years to come, which is being able to do both well.
Right.
Would be my guess. I just don't know
Yes.
what the path is or what the potential solutions are, but I think we need to start talking about it.
I agree. We'll work on that.
I think
Excuse
Zoom will
me?
be a good test, but.
Excuse me?
John?
Go ahead, Dr. John.
Yes.
So June 3rd is an LMP committee meeting. Would that still be all virtual, or would we start consider allowing public to watch us do that also?
It depends on whether or not you want to use this room that we're in for that committee meeting, or you wanted to move it to another room. Because this is the room that's used for lunch.
Mhm.
So,
We can discuss that with Ms. Munson, I guess.
Yeah, I might, Dr. John, I might want, maybe we stick to the June meeting and see how that goes. And then once we've, kind of figured that out after June, we can move forward with that. Because we don't have any other working session meetings throughout the summer, so we can kind of, perfect that regular board meeting and then move it to the working session meetings.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just, since June 1st was the end of some mandates, I just want to clarify where we were going to meet for and how we were going to meet for the next LMP.
Yeah, LMP and finance, we might need to use the auditorium to get all the audience.
And of
Maybe
course,
a locker room.
Yeah, all of these options will have to be discussed with Paul Sanfran, needless to say, since we will want to incorporate technology as well as in-person opportunity for community members and staff and students.
Well,
It will take some months.
I'm
this
sure your
summer.
new superintendent will have ideas also.
Absolutely.
All right, any other board discussion?
I guess I'll just say for LNP, I've actually really liked being able to do the Zoom with my big monitor instead of trying to read all that stuff on a little iPad. So if I want to be completely selfish, I might want that one to be still on Zoom for the committee. But, there are definitely other advantages to being in person.
All good? Okay, all right. Item 11, old business. Mrs. Crumrine, do we have any old business?
There's no old business, Madam
Okay.
President.
All right, item 12, new business, approval of personnel matters, consent items. 12.1, motion to approve personnel matters, consent items 12.1 through 12.13. The board will make a motion to approve the following personnel matters, which are items 12.2 through 12.13 as action consent items. Any approval of appointment of personnel under these action consent items is expressly made contingent upon the district's ability to conduct and/or participate in the related program and/or activity in light of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. In the event district schools are 1, closed or providing modified programming, 2, unable to conduct or participate in programs or activities due to the direction or recommendations of outside agencies, including but not limited to the Pennsylvania Department of Education, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, the Governor's Office, the Chester County Health Department, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association, et cetera, or 3, the district administration determines not to conduct and/or participate in any program or activity to ensure the safety of students, staff, and the community. The district shall not be liable to compensate personnel appointed herein for such programs and/or activities. In the event some programs and activities are conducted and/or held on a limited basis, compensation for personnel shall be paid on a pro rata basis commensurate with the percentage of the program season activity that was held and during which students participated. The decision to cancel, discontinue, and/or alter programs and activities shall be at the exclusive discretion of the district administration as previously authorized by the board pursuant to the district's health and safety plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. DiMarino, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion?
I do have a question on 12.5, the approval of an Act 93 position. Is that the approval? That's not a new Act 93 position, correct? That's a reassignment of an existing position?
That's correct. No, that is not a new, that is not
Okay.
a new position.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13, new business. 13.1, approval of Bus Driver Appreciation Week resolution. Bus Driver Appreciation Week resolution, May 3rd through the 10th, 2021. Whereas bus drivers in service of the district demonstrate a commitment to the safe transportation of our most precious possessions, our children, despite often adverse weather and road conditions. Whereas our bus drivers are often placed in extreme stressful situations which require a high degree of physical and psychological stamina and endurance. Whereas our bus drivers have demonstrated a record of safety and efficiency in the performance of their duties. Whereas our bus drivers make a positive contribution to the school climate and self-esteem of students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Owen J. Roberts School District and the Board of School Directors designate May 3rd through May 10th, 2021 as Bus Driver Appreciation Week in recognition of our bus drivers for all of their efforts on behalf of the school district and its students. Adopted at a meeting of the Board of School Directors of the Owen J. Roberts School District on the 17th day of May, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. DeFore, do I have a second? Mrs. Stutzman, any discussion? I just wanted to say I really appreciate all of our bus drivers, especially this year, in figuring out how to navigate driving students during a pandemic. I think they've done a wonderful job. I know I really appreciate our own bus driver, so I think this is a great resolution.
I would like to also thank Mr. Gray for dealing with all of those instances and all the transportation routes, and it's been a very tough year for transportation. Appreciate everyone's expertise.
All right.
Mrs. Previtt, can we go back? I think we have a retiree, right?
Okay. Can I approve this real quick?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we're almost there. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, back to our retirees.
Back to our retirees. I believe that Kathleen Hauk is with us this evening. There she is. Sorry about that. Sometimes we get rolling and we just keep on rolling.
I understand.
All right, so I get ready to get choked up, okay? I'm going to read this resolution to you. All right. Whereas Ms. Kathleen Hauk, as an employee of the Owen J. Roberts School District for the past 23 years and 8 months, has made a significant contribution to the students and the district. And whereas Ms. Hauk has given unselfishly of her time, talents, and energies in serving the youth of our community by performing her job to the best of her ability. And whereas Ms. Hauk has made a great impact upon the Owen J. Roberts School District now and in the future. And whereas Ms. Hauk's retirement is richly deserved and recognized as one of high honor and distinction. Therefore, be it resolved that the Owen J. Roberts Board of School Directors, the administration, and fellow employees of the Owen J. Roberts School District express deep appreciation for Ms. Hauk for 23 years and 8 months of loyal service, and wish Ms. Hauk good health and continued success in future endeavors, adopted by the Board of School Directors of the Owen J. Roberts School District on the 17th day of May 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say anything to the board about your 23 years and 8 months of service?
It's been very rewarding, and I hope to continue as a volunteer at French Creek, where I've been for these past years. And I want to leave, but I don't want to leave, if that makes any sense. But I have a lot of grandchildren, and I like to spend more time with them. So it will be a win-win all around. And I thank you very much.
All right. Well, we will welcome you back to be a volunteer at French Creek. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you for that call out. All right.
And can I do a call out to one of the other retirees, even if she's not on? There was a time in my son's life when Mrs. Raymond was the only person he wanted to see in the entire school building at West Vincent. And I really appreciate your being there for him and for all the other students who appreciated that kind of support. Thank you, Mrs. Raymond.
And just a suggestion, Dr. Lloyd, if you could read these resolutions before we have to vote, we may decide not to let these people go next time.
I don't even know why they let you vote on it, because I think it's kind of terrifying for them that they might not get voted, not get your vote.
All right. We're going to move on to 13.2. Approval of phased school and athletics reopening health and safety plan updates. Approval of the phased school and athletics reopening health and safety plan updates as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. DiMarino, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.3, approval of an Owen J. Roberts School District Cyber Academy. Approval of an Owen J. Roberts School District Cyber Academy as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeFore, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, so just a reminder, we're moving past 13.4 and through 13.7. 13.8, approval for membership in cooperative purchasing program. Approval for the district to become a member of the One Government Procurement Alliance cooperative purchasing program as presented. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Friel, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.9, approval of appointment bond coverage and facsimile signature for board treasurer. Approval of appointment bond coverage and facsimile signature for board treasurer as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deal, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.10, approval of appointment and bond coverage for board secretary. Approval of appointment and bond coverage for board secretary as presented. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Well, there was two. Is that Mrs. DiMarino and Mr. Friel is my second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.11, approval of annual filing of board officers' signature per Facsimile Signature Act. Approval be granted for signatures of the school board president, secretary, and treasurer who are involved with instruments of payment of public securities be filed with the Secretary of the Commonwealth as per the Uniform Facsimile Signature of Public Officials Acts of July 25th, 1961, as amended, PL 849 as amended, PS Section 302. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Stutzman, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeFore, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.12, approval to authorize the school board treasurer's signature and facsimile signature. Approval to authorize school board treasurer's signature and facsimile signature for district payroll and bank accounts. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Stutzman, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.13, approval of signatures for safe deposit box. Approval of signatures for safe deposit box. Approval of any two of the following 4 district employees to have access to the OJ Roberts safety deposit box for the 21-22 school year. The safety deposit box shall not be opened without at least 2 of the 4 persons physically present. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deal, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.14, approval of banks as depositories of school funds for 21-22 fiscal year. Approval of banks as depositories of school funds for 21-22 fiscal year as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Deal, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.15, approval of resolution authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising. Approval of resolution authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. DiMarino, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.16, approval of final budget notice. Approval of final budget notice as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. DiMarino, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.17, authorization for employees to act as agents in signing vouchers and checks. Authorization for employees to act as agents in signing vouchers and checks for the 21-22 fiscal year as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Deal, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeFore, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.18, approval of a resolution establishing tax collector compensation procedures and rules. Approval of resolution establishing tax collector compensation procedures and rules as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. DiMarino, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.19, approval of policies for second reading. Approval of policies for second reading from the Legislative and Policy Committee from the April 6, 2021 Committee of the Whole meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ooh, Mr. DeFore and
Second.
Mrs. DiMarino is my second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.20, approval of policy to change to regulation. Approval of policy 709A, security of buildings and grounds, powers of security officers, to change to regulation 709A as recommended by the Legislative and Policy Committee from the April 6th Committee of the Whole meeting. This change was recommended by PSBI. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. DiMarino, do I have a second? Mrs. Stutzman, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.21, approval of textbook for the 21-22, I get used to saying that, 21-22 school year. Approval of textbook for the 21-22 school year as presented and approved by the Curriculum and Instruction Committee at the working session on May 3rd, 2021. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mrs. Stutzman, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. DiMarino, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.22, approval of out-of-stay overnight student trips. Approval for the high school marching band to perform in Disney World, Orlando, Florida from April 12th to the 16th, 2022. And then just a note, there is no cost to the district for this trip. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. DeFore, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.23, approval of out-of-state overnight conferences. Approval of out-of-state overnight conferences as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second? Mrs. Stutzman, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.24, approval of student activity club advisors and student officers. Approval of student activity club advisors and student officers in accordance with the provisions of Section 511 of the Pennsylvania School Code for the 2021 school year as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Munson, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeFore, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.25, award of bids in accordance with the CCIU Joint Purchasing Agreement. Approval of award of bids for the following items as presented based on the notification of the Joint Purchasing Board in accord with the Chester County Joint Purchasing Agreement as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second? Mr. Friel, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.26, approval of construction change order. Approval of a construction change order for the East Coventry Elementary School Facilities Improvement Project as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs. Booth, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Munson, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.27, approval of professional services and/or maintenance agreements. Approval of professional services and/or maintenance agreements as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. DeFore, do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Booth, any discussion?
One question about number 1. Is this the same approval as the item that we tabled for next?
This is actually the
Meeting.
pool council. It's the same firm, but
Right.
it's a pooled council where a bunch of schools are members of a pool council for special education.
Okay, so
it's
this
not
does
the annual
not
appointment,
lock
it's
us into using them exclusively for special education legal services next year?
No, it doesn't. It
Okay.
doesn't.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, that was a long one. Item 14, public comment. Information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to any item. Speakers are to indicate your name and township of residence. Speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Please understand that this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. And then also our email address is there as well if you would like a written response. And then again, just use the raise hand function, and please remember to state your name and township of residence.
Madam President, there is no public comment.
All right. Item 15, board discussion and follow-up. This was where I was going to throw in that comment
we
about
already did it.
having in person, so we have already covered that. Does anyone else have any board discussion or follow-up comments?
Just one question for Dr. Lloyd, probably. Now that we've approved the Cyber Academy, I know the first time you kind of surveyed, we got good response from some areas, and others it was harder to get responses. When do you think you'll have I know probably not until the summer for final, but when we have a better idea of enrollment numbers? Any idea?
I think that it's reasonable to think that you'll have an idea by July 1st, because we will be having our open houses and we'll begin the marketing of that. The second vaccine clinic will have been held. So, a lot of the feedback that we had from parents that are in the Cyber Academy has to do with vaccine and it being available to students. And so I think by then, depending on what happens with masks and the fall, you could have more come back. But there are definitely quite a few parents that are choosing cyber because masks are still required.
Okay, thank you.
I would just like to congratulate, I think LMP has done a good job. I appreciate that. It's not exactly the most exciting job, but I think it's well done. I haven't mentioned that before. And also, I usually mention using the CCIU for some of these bids is also a great opportunity. So if you'd please respond to the CCIU board that I have appreciated all these years. It
Thank
saved
you.
us a lot of money along the way. But I also want to thank everyone for their diligence. We read many, many pages of information every single day to remain on this board and to do our jobs. And I want to thank everyone for being very diligent this year. It's been a very difficult year for everybody. And I just want to thank everybody, including administrators and all involved. It's been a difficult year, but I think we've managed to persevere. And I think we persevered rather well. And our students, I hope, have appreciated our efforts. But again, I just want to thank everybody for their hard work. And we do kind of take a summer break. And this summer, I think we'll have a little more of a break than we did last summer as board members, because we were also involved with what we were going to do
That's
within the
because you
school.
haven't seen the retreat schedule yet. I have a lot of training this summer.
Okay, well, I'm done. I just want to thank everybody for their hard work on this board. I think we've all been very diligent, and I've appreciated working with everybody on the board this year. So thank you.
And a call out for all those who contributed to the prom. I mean, it
Yes.
was, I think everyone agreed, a great success and another step towards getting our kids back to the traditional things that they look forward to. And I know there's more to come over the next month as we say goodbye to the class of 2021. But thanks to all the teachers, parents, volunteers,
Absolutely.
staff, everybody. Just terrific job. Thank you.
It's going to, the changes are coming at the right time. It's going to allow us to have graduation in our stadium. We won't have to limit the number of tickets. We'll still be outside, and we're going to still use the rain date, should we have rain, and it'll still be outside. But we'll use both the home and the away sides for graduation. Mr. Richardson has a very creative plan so that people will be able to be in the stands comfortably distance, and we'll be able to be outside. So it's very exciting. We're slowly returning to normal, but we'll be having all of our end-of-year activities that we've always had. We'll just be having to continue the mitigation, but it feels great.
It does. Feels very good.
Well, and I think we should also thank the voters who put us in a place where we could have a board this year that could deal with all the unforeseen things in a respectful manner, and unlike some other school districts in our area. And I would remind everybody that tomorrow is the Pennsylvania primary, and encourage you all to go out and choose who you would like to be voting for in the fall.
Any more board discussion? All right, I'm going to adjourn this meeting.